Alright, so this is a table of contents for Mojolicious. It's mojolicious.us, kind of clever. But you know, I'm just still learning Perl, so just gonna read here. This whole document is basically like a pretty much an overview or a prerequisite to understanding Mojolicious Lite. It's a prototype and this document, the overview of this document explains the process of starting a Mojolicious Lite prototype from scratch and going into a well-structured Mojolicious application. Concepts. Essentials every Mojolicious developer should know. Model View Controller. MVC is a software architectural pattern for graphical user interface programming originating in Smalltech 80 that separates application logic, presentation, and input. So basically input goes into the controller, which goes into the model, and then it goes to view. That's traditional view. It goes a straight line. Okay, here is the slightly modified version of the pattern. Moving some application logic into the controller is the foundation of pretty much every web framework these days, including Mojolicious. So pretty much like, I don't know about Facebook or anything, but apparently this website uses what it explains in the website. It's recursive. Anyway, so the request apparently goes in here, and then from here it can do both of these simultaneously, it seems. So more detail, and then it flies right back in there. So this is a big area. It can take this whole line and this line at the same time, and this is constant. Apparently, it's within the box. Alright, so the controller receives a request from a user, passes incoming data to the model, and retrieves data from it, which then gets turned into an actual response by the view. But note that this pattern is just a guideline that most of the time results in cleaner, more maintainable code. Not a rule that should be followed at all costs. So it's best to be stick to a guideline, but let it flow. Let everything go in as it's the most. Let everything be very efficient at all times, and like efficient in many ways, not just in one way. Like efficient will mean something different to everyone else. Anyway, representational state transfer, or REST. REST is a software architectural style for distributed hypermedia systems such as the web. While it can be applied to many protocols, it is most commonly used with HTTP these days. In REST terms, when you are opening a URL like mojolicious.us/mojolicious with your browser, you are basically asking the web server for the HTML representation of the Mojolicious source, HTTP. Here's another one. It seems that does exactly. Okay, so this is the client and the server on two separate sides. Like I was thinking, they must have been thinking similar lines. Along the similar line, because if something's good, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's original. I mean, if it's good, then most likely a lot of people will also come to that conclusion. And either way, it looks like your client sends out a request to the server, and then the server sends back the HTML that it wants. Okay, the fundamental idea here is that all resources are uniquely addressable with URLs, and every resource can have different representations such as HTML, RSS, or JSON. User interface concerns are separated from data storage concerns, and all session state is kept client side. Alright, so here's another, the browser and the web server, and then standard code, apparently. Well, HTTP methods such as, so it seems that, okay, I just came to this conclusion right now, is that it's a good idea when you run a server to have excess data be deleted as it needs to be. So instead of having like a page requested and then they load a different page and then it just keeps on piling up in their you can have it sent to their cookies, or their history or whatever, and then delete it on server side. Because they already requested the data, they no longer need the server data. So every time they request it and it's sent, it'll automatically go back in the line of code and delete it. Anyway, I don't know if this has already been done or how you would implement it, but these are my conclusions while I'm reading this, because I'm still learning Perl. And I'm still learning Linux. I'm still using Ubuntu. I'm going to stick with Ubuntu for a while because 10.04 LTS is actually doing everything I need it to do. Debian is having issues with my hardware, and I do not have the time to work on it right now. So until I have the time, which I need either an income or a job, or you can always send donations in my chat. Go click on my channel, check out my playlists. You know, donate 25 cents or a nickel or something, and you know, be on your way. You know, I have a lot of channels that you can go to, other people's channels. You can check out on the bottom. If I use the view to the viewers. I use it for myself mostly. I use it in order to keep track of videos I watch on YouTube. It's like a note-taking system for me. I don't know if anyone else does this, but they probably do. But this is what I do. Anyway, alright, sessions. HTTP was designed as a stageless protocol. Web servers don't know anything about previous requests. If you want to, I'll give a link in the description. And you can ask any more questions if you want. I'm going to continue reading without showing the code because that's a little bit you know, it's easier to see if you see it yourself. HTTP was designed as a stageless protocol. Web servers don't know anything about previous requests, which makes user-friendly login systems very tricky. Sessions solve this problem by allowing web applications to keep stateful information across several HTTP requests. Traditionally, all session data was stored on the server side, and only session IDs were exchanged between browser and web server in the form of cookies. In Mojolicious, however, we are taking this concept one step further by storing everything in HMAC MD5 signed cookies, which is more compatible with the REST philosophy and reduces infrastructure requirements. Test-driven development. TDD is a software development process where the developer starts writing failing test cases that define the desired functionality and then moves on to producing code that passes these tests. There are many advantages. There are many advantages, such as always having good test coverage and code being designed for testability, which in turn often prevents future changes from breaking old code. Most of the Mojolicious was developed using TDD prototype. One of the main differences between Mojolicious and other web frameworks is that it also includes Mojolicious Lite, a micro web framework optimized for rapid prototyping. Differences, you may be asking. You likely know the feeling. You've got a really cool idea and want to try it as quickly as possible. That's exactly why Mojolicious Lite applications don't need more than a single file. myapp.pl, hashtag, I'll use this for hashtag. Templates and even static files can be inlined. Full Mojolicious applications, on the other hand, are much closer to a well-organized cpan distribution to maximize maintainability. Application directory, script directory, application script, library directory, application class, application namespace, controller class, test directory, random test, log directory, development made, log file, static file directory, served, served, parentheses, served. Static HTML file, template directory for layouts, layout templates, template directory for templates for welcome action. Example controllers. Anyway, both application skeletons can be automatically generated. Type into your terminal mojo generate light underscore app. Apparently, I'm gonna see what happens. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go to a different workstation, press F11 on my terminal window, and type in Mojo. I don't even know if I have it. So sudo. I always call it sudo because it's like a pseudo user, like PSE. But sudo apt-get, a name of my test World of Warcraft character, because I got World of Warcraft up and running on Ubuntu 10.04 LTS using Wine 1.5.3. And I'm very proud of myself for that. I did a complete clean reinstall. I don't need to play World of Warcraft. If I wanted to, I have 70 gigabytes of partitioning space left over if I want to install Windows XP or Vista or 7 or anything. Or another Ubuntu, or another, I could put 12.04 on there if I wanted. I could also put Debian, or I could put damn small Linux on a USB drive, and just, if I need to do Linux stuff, I can just put them on USB drives. I could put Mac OS 10 on my other partition. I'm gonna try doing that, having a Unix-based system, but it's not Solaris or anything, so it doesn't need the hardware. I'll need the boot camp. I'll try that. That's a project one of these days. When I get some money. If you want to see instruction videos on that, then feel free to donate. If I make $100 this, okay. If I can make $400 this month, I will give a freshly built PC without a monitor or a keyboard or anything, just the PC. Maybe this one, but this is mine, so, and it's given to me by a very special person, so it's not going anywhere until she dies. I mean, the computer. Apparently she's a dinosaur. Carrie said she's a dinosaur. You can tell by the missing keys. I kind of like them because I can put my fingers there and know that they're there. What if I went blind? I would have to have a braille readout. But I'm not going to go blind. I don't plan on it, but nobody plans on it. So anyway, sudo apt-get mojo. Let's see. Oh, oops, install. Here. Let me type that again. Okay, couldn't find package, so it must be in a PPA. Let's see. Let's go to the Modulicious website here. Let's see. Modulicious website. Mojo. Let's see here. Web development can be fun again. Download latest version. Anyway, みんな日本語で勉強したのか、もうしっかりしろよ。Linux を作りますので、Ubuntu. I could put the Japanese or Chinese version of Ubuntu on 10.04 on. I guess they would have a different version scheme. I guess I better think about it. I mean, what do I have to lose except destroying everything? But, yeah. You don't want to destroy everything. If you do, that's why you have a backup. Backup frequently. In fact, I'm going to back up right now on my Google Drive. I always upload my entire documents folder because documents are irreplaceable if you don't back them up. Unless you have keylogging software, but only if you use them in non-illegal ways, like sending them to your own machine so that it keeps a text file of everything you type. The only thing you have to worry about, though, is you have to worry about anyone else having access to that machine. So you better do that at your own risk. And either way, there's people who work day in and day out to find evil villains who do evil things on computers. So Real hackers are people who just do it for fun, who design computers and think about everyone being benefited, not just themselves, not just their sick, twisted malware desire. But you know what? Those people who make malware, they make people make tighter security. So there's actually people they call them white hat users. The evil people are called black hat users. White hat users are people who learn how to hack with the intention of setting up tighter security for businesses and for people. And a lot of people do open source and completely free distribution of code that they make. So that's why I got into Unix and Linux. I'm going to get into Unix because it's what Mac is designed after, and Steve Jobs, in memory of Steve Jobs, I'm going to learn Unix. Now, Bill Gates created Microsoft DOS. Now, if Bill Gates ever releases source code for MS-DOS, then I think there's going to be a lot of Windows 3.1 startups that are lookalikes, or not just lookalikes, but actually code-alikes. But I think that'll be a new era if it hasn't happened already. I'm pretty sure it hasn't because it's proprietary software, just like Unix. But apparently Steve Jobs had the money. I don't really know the specifics. I need to read his book, his biography. Anyway, but Linux is going to be my main learning device because it's just such a strong user base of people that really just think about the better good of everyone. And I think that's a model that we can build our human society out of, is that they've already done all the hard work. It's just people limit themselves when they think of trying to get their personal gain, and that's what I think most spiritual beliefs follow, is just trying to be a really good person. I mean, not just try to appear as a good person, like a lot of people who I'm not going to mention names, but a lot of people, especially politicians, really get very, a lot of people would say bloodthirsty or power hungry. Bloodthirsty for sure. Some people just want to have an iron fist, like people in the Middle East. Anyway, I always upload my whole documents folder. I think that uploading backup is a very important fact that you should do every single day that you have new material. Even if you may not think that it's worth it, you may thank yourself later, because you can always look at it later unless Google crashes. But in that case, you should have your own private FTP server, which is what I'm learning right now. I'm trying to set up. I don't even know where to begin, so I'm just like learning Perl, and every now and then I read the Apache documents, and I read about Debian because I want to install that, because apparently once it's set up, Debian is actually better than Ubuntu, according to Debian users. But you know, it's a well-known name, and I think Ubuntu is starting up and it's getting pretty stable, and it's Debian based, so they could be ran side by side if you want. It's really, it's all up to the user. I mean, you can run Windows or Mac or Amiga or whatever the hell you want. You can make your own operating system out of like machine code if you want. It doesn't matter, see, what an operating system is a means to an end. It's a tool. This right here is a machine. It is a tool. It can be used to achieve what you want. There's a 10 key right here. If you know how to use a 10 key, you can use this. If you know how to use this, then you have to start brainstorming, because I don't know what you're going to do from there. But, see, when I was growing up, I was told from an early age by teachers that I need to learn how to read, and so I did it because I wanted to because I always wanted attention. I would always act out in class because I always knew the answers already, but the teachers stopped calling on me. They'd always see my hand and they say, give the other students a chance. And I wanted to, and that made me really frustrated, so I would start acting out. And then, you see, around like 6th grade, I started thinking about schoolwork, and I actually like hit the books. I was in the advanced algebra class. It was only like 11 of us, and we like had a separate teacher, and it was a guy. Like, because I had women teachers all throughout elementary school, it was kind of interesting. Like, I never had a guy teacher except for that one teacher, and it was in algebra. And I don't know why. I think it was just at school maybe, but I don't know. It's just when you're growing up, it's for some reason it's just different. Everyone has different experiences, so then we all try to coexist, having all these different experiences. But how are we supposed to do that when we all see everything differently? So we have to have something that's common ground, like Linux or C++ or HTML. HTML is a common language. JavaScript is a common language that a lot of people, no matter what language they speak or read and write, they can access that code, and they can access documents to that code. Anyway, this has been 21 minutes, 36 seconds so far. I uploaded my documents folder, 51 files. I keep my documents folder full of stuff that I want to save. I keep, let's see, this is like, you know, those images that I use for those playlist files. This is my desktop, by the way. I like how GNOME lets you resize the resize everything. GNOME's pretty cool. Some people prefer KDE, and some people prefer GNOME or Fluxbox or anything else like that. But GNOME is the first one I used, and it's the first one. No, it's actually not the first one I used. I take that back. When I was 14, I was in a computer club in 8th grade. I was the first one in the. I was the first kid in the class to actually say, I want to set up a Linux machine. And then he got because my dad had one of those books with the CD in it for Red Hat, and so I brought the book with the CD to my club, and Juan. It was Juan. He's kind of a heavy guy. He's a cool guy. He knows a lot of jokes. He really likes computers. We went on a field trip once to Cisco Systems in California, in Berkeley. Berkeley? I don't know. But it was quite a field trip. They all use Dells. They showed us the inside of their what they do on a daily basis. They showed us their server rack. They showed us that a lot of people use Linux, a lot of people use Windows, but I saw someone's operating system, and it reminded me of my dad, because my dad worked at Hewlett-Packard, and my dad used Unix and Linux, and he knew it back and forth, and he created his own distro for himself, for his group, I think, maybe, but he created his own user. He called it a custom user environment, a QUE, a Q. I don't know, but my dad, Ed Loringer, he plays Battle Pirates now on Facebook. He has a video. I saved one on my video game guides playlist. If you want to check it out, he's pretty good. He's a really technical person. He used to be in the Marines. Anyway, he knows Linux and Unix like the back of his hand, and it kind of gave him his injury, which kind of messed up a lot of stuff for my family. Because he kind of turned into an asshole after that for a while, and my mom kind of turned into a bitch. But whoa. Anyway, yeah, I love my mom and I love my dad, but more on that later. You can not expect any of that later. Anyway, what I was talking about was that my dad set up a Linux machine. I had a point. I don't remember what it was. Oh yeah, I was talking about how I like GNOME instead of KDE, and I said something. I can't remember what it was. But oh yeah, I was going to school. Oh yeah, okay. There, now I go. I'm back on the track. Back on the train of track. I said that the other video. I watched it later. I said I never review my videos, but what I meant by that was that whenever I upload a video, I upload it right after I film it, and then I watch it later, and I never fix it later. So I'm just like, here we go. Anyway, in that computer club, I was the first one to install Linux. I installed Red Hat Linux from scratch without any help from the club teacher. I just sat there and just command lined, and I felt pumped. And then as soon as I set that up, he said, "You know, you can have that machine," because he said everyone in the club actually got to keep the machine that they built. I built it from scratch, from donated and considered broken hardware. I got a hard drive. I took out the stuff. I got so pumped. I'm such a geek, and I love it. Anyway, I got the hard drives, and I put the, like, you know, you have to change it from master and slave and all that. Anyway, I just felt so good being able to set up that Linux machine when everyone else was just playing StarCraft. I got them into StarCraft. They all played StarCraft on. I helped them all set up their Windows 95 and Windows 98 because they were kind of old hardware. But then I installed Linux. I installed Red Hat Linux on mine, and it ran perfectly because it's command line. And an older kid, he changed my password. Like, an older kid as in a high school student that was actually volunteering. I think he went to Elsie Allen. I went to Cook. Cook was middle school, and then I went to Elsie Allen. He was this guy with glasses, and he said, "Hacker." Like, he said, "I'm hacking your mom." and I was like, "Wait, how'd you change my password?" And he was all, "I hacked it. I hacked your mom." And then I was like, I gave up at that point because I was like, okay, I need to not run Linux because there will be hackers out there. He taught me a valuable lesson in that club. He installed Debian on it, and I was like, whoa. He set up an email server for the computer club, and so anyway, he completely changed my password without knowing my password, and I wanted to learn how to do that. He showed me. And anyway, all I can say is that I gave up Linux for a while, and then now I'm using it again because it's been a long time. It's been 10 years. There's been a lot of development in the Linux world. Anyway, back then I used KDE. KDE was a little bit cleaner back then than GNOME. So on that Red Hat distribution, I used KDE. And also, that's what my teacher told me to use. He just said, "Here, use KDE." He told me I forgot the Red Hat Linux commands. It was like GW or GW or get G or wget. I don't know if it used wget or not. I don't know. I don't remember. All I know is that I dual booted Windows 95 and Red Hat Linux. I think it was 7.0 or something. It was from an old book that was from like 1996 or something. It came with a free disk. My friend Josh, he didn't like Linux because he tried OpenSUSE. I'm trying to get my friends into Ubuntu because it's similar to Debian, and I want to ultimately, in my company that I'm creating a website by tonight. It's going to be up and running by 2 a.m. I'm gonna leave the. I'm gonna try to use a free server for now. Like if Google does anything like that, I want to by the end of this month have my own server with Apache running, and whenever it's down, I want it to redirect to the Google one or whatever it is. I'm gonna Google it. Anyway, it's funny. The sound got hella loud right then, and it sounded like applause. Anyway, let's going to be quite an adventure in my career, learning Linux and working with Perl. I'm learning Perl right now. I'm reading the Mojolicious. Here's the main file that has a lot of stuff. Here, I don't know exactly what Mojolicious is, but I think I'm just thought this right now. I'm guessing that, okay, this kind of confirms it, that Mojolicious is Perl, just instead of making a completely new language, it's a guideline. And it's just like, these are example scripts. These are example code that you can use yourself. So Mojolicious Lite is a real-time microweb framework. That's what it says it is. But I think in reality what it also is a standard to live by. And I guess you could use gedit for this. I use the gray one because I like the file. Let me make that Perl document. I have a template. I always call them template. But they're actually template. Documents, Perl temp. And you always start it with that. Instead of typing it out every time. Let's see here. I'm gonna put that right there, and then let's see, put this in a different workspace. I mean, workspace right. And I guess that's the same as the. I'm gonna minimize F11 that, and start writing this Perl document. Use Mojolicious Light, and then end every statement with a semicolon. Oh, it has to be capitalized. I'm going to copy paste this again next to it just to see if I got it right. Yep, I did. Do it letter by letter. Some people use computers by doing stuff bit by bit. So you have so many bits in a byte. You have 1,000. 1,000 bits in a byte. 1,000 bytes in a kilobyte. 1,000 kilobytes in a megabyte. 1,000 megabytes in a gigabyte. 1,000 gigabytes in a terabyte. And 1,000 terabytes. There's actually a web page that explains all the other ones. Byte. But I'm just gonna type bit, byte, BYTE, but BIT for bit, byte, kilobyte. And then I'm gonna see the page that I've been to before. It's not a calculator. Okay, here's a table. You want to search? This is a similar page. It talks about binary. I think it's the same thing. Oh, there's one that come after. There's another page I went to that's maybe Wikipedia. Unit multiples? No. Hierarchy. Data hierarchy. Hierarchy. No, that's not it. It's not in Wikipedia. Let's see here. See, I played Chrono Cross, but I never played Radical Dreamers. I never read Radical Dreamers. Oh, here we go. Petabyte and exabyte. Here it is. whatsabyte.com. Here we go. This is the web page. Alright, so after terabyte, it's petabyte. A petabyte is approximately 1,000 terabytes or 1,000,000 gigabytes. It's hard to visualize what a petabyte could hold. 1 petabyte could hold approximately 20 million four-door filing cabinets full of text. It could hold 500 billion pages of standard. Let me get my. Anyway, it would take about 500 million floppy disks to store the same amount of data. An exabyte is approximately 1,000 petabytes. Anyway, it goes. 1,000 petabytes is an exabyte. 1,000 exabytes is a zettabyte. 1,000 zettabytes is a yottabyte. Which would take 11 trillion years to download a single yottabyte. A single yottabyte. A single yottabyte would take 11 trillion years to download from the internet using high-power broadband. So the entire World Wide Web, the entire internet, almost takes up a yottabyte. Okay, a brontobyte, like a brontosaurus, is 1,000 yottabytes. The only thing there is to say about a brontobyte is that it is a 1 followed by 27 zeros. The geophyte is about 1,000 brontobytes. Not sure why this term was created. I'm doubting that anyone alive today will ever see a geophyte hard drive. Well, I'm here to prove you wrong. I got 1,000 geophyte hard drive ready for $3.99 every day. You pay $399 a day. Anyway, geophyte is about 1,000 brontobytes. Not sure why this term was created. I'm doubting that anyone alive today will ever see a geophyte hard drive. One way of looking at geophyte is 1 sub 5, 260,000, 7,650 sub 4, 600,228 sub 3, 229,401 sub 2, 496,703 sub 1, 205,376 bytes. Now, you should have a good understanding of megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes, and everything in between. Now, if we can just figure out what a what's-a-byte is. There have been some recent inquiries, spelled with an I, inquire, about the differences between the 3G and 4G technologies relating to how many gigabytes faster is 4G. Well, I instantly realized the confusion. There is a big difference between gigabytes and the gigabit per second that the 4G claims to be capable of. However, the question sparked my interest and is my ever-increasing thirst for knowledge. What's a G was created? 3G, 4G, 4G LTE, and WiMAX explained. I'm gonna go click it. I'm gonna click it, guys. What are they? Quite simply, the G stands for generation, as in the next generation of wireless technologies. Each generation is supposedly faster, more secure, and more reliable. The reliability factor is the hardest obstacle to overcome. 1G was not used to identify wireless technology until 2G, or the second generation, was released. That was a major jump in the technology when the wireless networks went from analog to digital. It's all uphill from there. 3G came along and offered faster data transfer speeds, at least 200 kilobits per second, for multimedia use, and is still the standard for wireless transmissions, regardless of what you hear on all those commercials. Here's spelled wrong, but yeah. It is still a challenge.